Flavia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active...
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder, it was also raining.
What is it? Did you think of something?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. Why? Do you think the rain could have affected... That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value. Oh? Wait. You don't mean...
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water? And then got washed away with the... Yeah! And if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained what he saw to the authorities!
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. You're completely right. How did I... All right, let's go to Poussin. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to the bottom of my father's case for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time!
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later? Great, let's go.
Whoa! What a huge ship! Why would a ship be anchored at a place like this?
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, it's actually Spina di... My father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally had in common. A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
Spina di Rosula had a glorious past. Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sewers. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself, she's been...
Well, Poussin is where Spina di Ros...
Swan Fury.
Melus, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important partners. You said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to Pousson so quickly?
About that. It's because You still remember, right, Melus? On that night, it was raining?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's.
Could you tell us a bit more about what...
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, at a glance, it was a kind of
Wait! Didn't that guard come...
Yes, he did. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, and if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll... As he oversaw Poussin,
Boss's uncompromising attitude, and not only that, Boss...
Yes, but recognizing that, the man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work. After seeing that night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the...
Huh? happen?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any... Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene. Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques used to disguise himself. But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the two... You're right. We still don't know what happened.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that he turned on Boss with zero warning. I think this third person is probably the key. On that note, however, even though our opponent is in... Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its... There is no need to follow your...
If that's indeed what he wished for, was I not the closest person to him? What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful, did he think I've never accepted that. Ever. I want to find out the
Navia.
This is indeed the best...
So you do know something else, Melus?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial dis... But what drove all the tension...
What?
Boss and the serial dis... 5 years with knowing all of this. But as long as you... If something were to happen...
Right. So nobody would be able to get off scot-free?
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take...
No. I don't believe it. He never appeared...
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard. Especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful was still...
So he chose to die in silence.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, demoiselle. If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the answer, I'm sure he'd be extremely...
That fool. No. He might... Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have just lived out... But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really... Melus, what was the key evidence that he...
It's the location where synth is produced. Essentially, when he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics of the... But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still have to take...
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming in?
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization that's been in operation for decades. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. But a single visit to their headquarters, the worst case would be...
Then, in that case, why not...
Well, you saw one of them dissolve.
That's true. Seems but things are different now.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve the boss, and I've always been willing to take on any kind of...
Thank you for all of that, Melus.
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that when I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the... If the vendors didn't check after several rounds... The first is Florent.
Huh?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus avoid capture. There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Pousson. Boss helped it to grow to its current size. In the beginning, there were only
So, they're like a sister organization of...
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth, it's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money to hunt.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information, but although the guards mostly, since Thierry is always in the know about...
I see. To think that the enemy we've been...
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience...
Of course. And thank you, Melus.
You're too kind, my lady. And before I forget, proving after that incident, if it might help...
Oh, thank you so much.
A new case awaits, my dear partner. I hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end...
It is...
Thank you for arranging...
Excuse me, miss. Do you need anything from us?
Oh,
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
I'm sorry that I only came to visit after all this time. After what happened, I didn't know how I was supposed...
Ah, if it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died, Spina di Rosula sent us a lot of mora and support. I understood your guilt and apologized.
But aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand the...
You don't understand at all.
I didn't know how to face you. Because I didn't know what I could possibly bring as a consolation gift. I know only the full truth could bring closure to you. And to all of us.
I'm sorry. I appreciate the sentiment, but you don't have to carry all that guilt. On the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I have more or less found our answer already.
Would you mind sharing it with me? I really can't believe that my father could ever bring himself to shoot Jacques.
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back the clock, he would never go into the synth business again. He had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. For the longest time, he thought Mora was everything. So when Mr. Callis came to him with a proposal, he accepted it almost immediately. He tried to be as careful as he could, but even so, he was still found out by the higher-ups.
They found out about his betrayal?
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never be ungrateful.
Before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was only later that I realized it was his final farewell. I don't know that for sure, but you could say that's the conclusion I eventually came to. Which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callis had always taken great care of us, both when he was still alive and after he passed away. Even if he fired the shot that killed my husband, it was likely in self-defense. It is impossible for me to hate him for what he had done.
But Mama, why is Papa still the bad guy if he did the right thing? Papa always wanted to be a good man, so why did he have to do a bad thing in the end?
Well, things aren't always as they seem. You still feel like your papa was a good man, right?
Yeah, Papa was a really good man. The best in the whole world.
Then you should hold on to that. If a good man had to do a bad thing, then he must have had his reasons. Regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword. He must have done so to give you a better life.
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told me. I will definitely find the truth. The current state of things is not something I'm willing to just sit back and accept.
Thank you. I'm very grateful. Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is really...
You really think so? That's the first time anyone said that to me.